between the years 2017 to 2019, everybody within my family, my parents, me, my husband, my sister, we all left the Mormon church. And I feel so lucky that it was able to happen like that. They were able to be supportive of each other. I mean, we all just really felt like dominoes. And I'm not going to tell my parents' story for them. But if you want to hear them talk about it in their own words, we did a podcast, my parents and I, on Mormon stories in 2020. So you can kind of go get an overview of our story. I will say, though, that it has been 4 years, and 4 years is already a decent amount of time. But I feel like ex-Mormon years are like dog years, where every year there's just 7 years worth of deconstruction. And so, I mean, I can't think of anything in particular we said that was super off the wall or anything, but I'm sure there's a lot of ways that we viewed what happened and like our processing through it and where we stand now that's a little bit different than it was then, but that's a good place to start. But to kind of set the scene otherwise of basically how Mormon my family was and how big of a deal it is that we all left together and like what that process kind of looked like and what kind of opened everybody up to being willing to consider if it wasn't true. I think it's worth noting that I'm 7th generation Mormon, and my great whatever grandfather, his obituary says that he's the first person to bring bees into Utah. So Brigham Young sent him off to California, said, go get the bees. He brought them back. So we're really centered in Utah, grounded here. And then another ancestor, not even in the same line, he was one of the first people to be promoted into the High Council. And so his name was actually in the Doctrine and Covenants. So Joseph Smith wrote his name down in whatever Doctrine and Covenants section, talks about the leadership. And so we are, canonized in the scriptures as part of this Mormon history, which I think just kind of sets the stakes for how important Mormonism is, not just for me specifically, or even like my parents, but just how big of a deal this is for my entire family, going back quite a ways. But with all of that said, I do feel like we just took it so seriously. We were so devout. And also my parents, I think they were willing to see, or like they noticed every once in a while, a couple instances where maybe the church wasn't working. They thought like 99.9% of it was great. But one time when I was a teenager, I was giving some presentation on something at some young women's event. And I remember being so nervous, like because I was presenting, I had however much authority a young woman can have. And I was like, oh, I really need to, give it my all at this event. And I had this outfit picked out that really mattered to me for whatever reason. This was the only thing possible that I could wear to this young women's event. It was a sweater and a skirt. And I also think it's important to clarify the difference. I think any women, and probably even men in the church, know the difference between this much skin showing on a skirt. Okay, this is flirty. This was where I like to be. I'm a Mormon, but I'm also fun. I can flirt a little bit. This is your ward slut, right? Like, this is, we need to get the bishop involved. This is, who knows what's happening with other boys. Like, the difference in Mormon perspective, especially, 15 years ago, the difference between this and this is major, okay? So my skirt was this. I had a growth spurt. I had grown. I was taller. My legs were longer. And so then I put the skirt back on and it was more like this. And I lost it. Okay, at my house, it was just a few minutes before trying to get ready to go. I already had my outfit all set out. And I just am sobbing, right? I'm like, oh no, everyone's gonna think I look like a slut. This is horrible. This is the worst thing that could happen. For some reason, that was the only thing I could wear. I could not think of any other outfit. I was just devastated. I had tights on underneath it also, so it did add a little bit of a cushion, okay? But I was just so upset about it. I thought I was gonna look, I was like, what do I change into? I need to find something else. I can't just look like a whore. And I remember my parents were both my mom and my dad were like, it's fine. Like, you're wearing a skirt because you like the skirt. Don't make this into a thing. You've worn this skirt before. It looks great. And they really tried to talk me down. And in fact, encouraged me to continue to wear the skirt. And in hindsight, this is pretty edgy in Mormonism. And parents probably were like, whoa, she's wearing a pretty short skirt. But they were like, no, you want to wear this skirt. It's fine. You're wearing tights also. It's fine. God is not going to be upset about this skirt. You're wearing a dressed up skirt. You look great. They were so positive about that. And so I feel like things like that, they were really, I was very anxious as a kid. And I feel like some of that, what ultimately pulled them out was truth claim stuff. But I do think that them seeing the way that some of these church rules affected me, and this especially came into fruition when I went through the temple, which ultimately was like the catalyst to their faith crisis really taking hold, was seeing the way that it was hurting their children. Even before it was hurting their children, like really bad. You know, I was just really upset about this skirt. It wasn't like this crazy traumatizing thing, but they were like, no, we want to make sure that like we can see the pressure you're feeling about this, and we think it's more important for you to like be confident in yourself and confident in what you wear rather than like an inch or two. And I feel like that just says a lot about them.